been?
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no moon.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars News Podcast. I'm Dan Badebacher.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And Kenton, I have, jumping off our last episode, our last Movie Nerds episode, I watched the AI Slop episode of last week tonight. Have you had a chance to watch that yet?
I did. I watched it.
What were your thoughts?
It was interesting. Of course, it's always interesting. It was funny. It was funny and interesting. So that's good. I thought it was a good discussion. It's a discussion that everybody's having.
Well, yeah, everyone is having about AI, but this was a kind of a look at like the spam and the crap that the people. It's like a way of gaming the monetization of YouTube and TikTok and these online platforms. And he actually named. It's funny because he also named Meta, and I'm not sure how it works with Meta as far as being one of the companies that pays for when and the way he put it, it's like it pays you when your video goes viral. I like that as well. I like how he kind of put this whole thing where people can make, he framed it, he explained like, yes, you can make money by putting a video on these websites, and if it goes viral, you can make money from it. These AI generated, there's a bunch of people making AI generated content and just spamming all these platforms, whether YouTube, TikTok, whatever. And so they're just spamming with, you know, and they have AI create, one of them was a story about a bad dating story. And then they put it over top of footage of someone playing Subway Surfers. So you've probably seen a video like this, right? Where it's just like, and it's an AI voice saying, da 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 da, I went on this date and it was really bad. And it's just, honestly, when I see this stuff, and I do occasionally see this stuff, I go right past it. I flip right past it. And there's no interest in that. But there's apparently a lot of this content out there now.
Well, I've noticed it in news, on YouTube, in news things where I hear about something that happened, and I want to see that, like an explosion somewhere. You're like, I want to see what that looks like. It's not with this article that I'm reading. So you put it into YouTube, and often what you will get is an AI generated thing, and you can't even be sure. Like you can kind of hear it in the voiceover, sometimes very obviously, and other times not as much. And you can see that the images they're showing are not the thing that they're talking about. So there'll be like hundreds of people, and they'll show a stack of VHS tapes. I saw one like that where like hundreds of people. What with the VHS tape? Like, wow, that's what it generated.
Right. So, and it doesn't matter because then people, the comments on the video will engage, get the views going because it'll drive more engagement. And so that's even some people will say, there's no people there, it's VHS tapes. And then that'll be making it even more viral. Right. So it's interesting that this comes out. So last week's night, does their episode a few weeks ago, and it is on YouTube, by the way. The full episode is up on YouTube.
It just popped up for me. Like the day after I watched it, it popped up for me.
So it does, like, they have a bit of a delay, but you can watch it. If you want to watch it right away, you have to have a Crave subscription. Otherwise, you can get it on YouTube. So, but I'll link in the show notes if people want to go watch it. So he does this episode, and then like a few weeks later, YouTube announces, and this is going into effect tomorrow, I believe, July 15th, that any AI generated videos are ineligible for monetization. And so somehow they're going to figure out a way to do this, to figure like AI detectors. I've heard like they don't work as well as everyone says they do, or anyway, but they have some way of trying to detect in their algorithm whether or not something has AI content. There is a little box you can tick when you're uploading to YouTube, but I never tick it because my stuff isn't AI generated. But basically what they're saying to people, anybody who uses AI in any way in their videos, that you should not use it. Like, don't even use it to create a voiceover over real footage that you shot. Don't use it to create images and your voiceover. Don't use AI in any way in creating your videos. Otherwise, it will not be monetized. You will not be able to make any money off of it. So YouTube is doing this. I think it's just a matter of time before TikTok also does this. Instagram, all these platforms will have to have very robust AI detectors. What do you think? How do you think they'll be able to detect the AI stuff?
Well, they already, I mean, once it was unthinkable that they could tell if you'd broken copyright law. Like, it's kind of like the copyright holder needed to complain. And you're like, yeah, how will they ever know? And then they got those detectors, and to the extent that now stuff gets pulled that isn't copyright infringement, now like they've swung in the other direction. And I think I've seen stuff, I've posted stuff on TikTok that was me. I did a Larry David impression wearing my Charlie Brown shirt for Halloween, And they're like, you don't own that sound. That sound? I'm doing an impression. Like, I was so close to the original guy. I don't think so. I'm not an impressionist, okay? So yeah, so they pulled it. And I was like, oh, gee. And there's no appeal process. There's nothing. So I think there's a lot of that happening. There will be detectors, but then and what if a person talks in a monotone voice? They'll go, that's AI. And they'll pull that down. There's going to be things like that happen. Yeah. And even I noticed there's some TV shows too where they've added scenes. I watched a really good show on Netflix this week, and I'm not going to say which one it is, but in the last episode, it looks like they inserted something. Like they must have watched it and gone, you know what? We're missing a conversation between these two characters. Okay. We need a little exposition here. It's not quite clear enough what we're doing. And so there's this weirdly inserted scene of two characters talking in a clearly, it's got to be an AI generated background. They're in a car and it just looks so fake compared to the rest. I was thinking, would this get flagged by YouTube?
Well, what about the advertising? I see advertising, most recently a Trivago ad.
What a hotel, right? And only $250 a night for my favorite site. What? You didn't check Trivago?
There's a new Trivago kind of campaign. I don't know if you've seen it with the creepy guy with the really bright teeth.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
This guy, he's like, you gotta check Trivago. But the ad is of these three guys sitting around in a hotel. They're like, oh, what a great deal in the hotel. And this one guy got paid way more than the other two guys, and they're laughing at him. If you look at their mouths, very clearly the mouths have been altered. So I don't doubt that these are probably real actors that they did shoot, but I'm sure they shot it in a different language. Yeah. And now they're just making the mouths different and speaking English. It doesn't look great. You can tell that it's not natural. I would have rather they just left the lips the same and just dubbed English, right? Yeah. That would have been better than what they did. But that is the reality of what we're seeing on YouTube and other platforms. I see that on, Netflix and Disney Plus as well. That's on all the platforms. So yeah, that's AI. That's clearly AI generated. So is that not okay? Are they going to start cracking down on the actual source of their revenue here? These are the people paying to advertise on their platform.
I think, that no is probably the answer because, and probably no, ultimately they'll allow it. If that's a moneymaker, they will allow it eventually, ultimately, or they already have the tag that says this has some AI generated content in it. Yes. Okay. But once again, it relies on the uploader to flag it. I think the horse is out of the barn to a great extent here. And if they don't allow it, some other site will.
Well, I think they're going to allow it they definitely will allow it for advertising because that's not like a video that gets monetized. That is a video that is supposed to bring in money for the brand or whatever. It's advertising something. So that will be an exception to the rule. We're going to see a lot of AI used in advertising. I think that's the place where everyone's going to feel okay about it because it's a company paying for this. The company wants to pay for AI to create something. Go ahead and do it. And there's already a number of AI generated ads out there. I think that people have been talking about. But yeah, I think it's interesting. And so the other advice I saw is now I'm starting to look into more videos of me on screen. I'm going to be doing more stuff on my YouTube channel of me just talking to camera. And so that's the advice getting from people is that you do more content with you in it. And maybe not you, Kenton, because you look like Larry David a little bit. That's probably what did it. It was like your look and your voice.
I know. That's not, by the way, that's not a new observation by any stretch.
But anyway, it's like that's kind of stuff that I'm going to try and create and more stuff with my face. I worry a little bit because I use footage from movie trailers when I do my little movie review videos. And sometimes that gets flagged for copyright, but I don't know about the monetization of it because I'm not able to monetize those yet. I haven't got enough subscribers. I'm very close to that. But yeah, I want to move away from that a little bit and just kind of focus on actually the stuff I'm shooting myself, content I'm creating for myself, and putting out there. So that's going to be the focus to try and see what happens here.
Well, one of the things, John Oliver actually pointed out that Pinterest is true. Oh, yeah. There's a big pushback on Pinterest where if you see an AI generated photo, you see people going, no more AI. Like people are getting like, this is polluting Pinterest.
It's broken Pinterest basically because everything is AI generated, and that gives you, like if you say, give me a nice garden that I can copy, that it's completely unrealistic and you can't copy it. You can't the whole point of Pinterest is to give you ideas for what you can do for yourself, not completely unrealistic things you cannot achieve. That's what that does, right? So yeah, Pinterest is useless now.
My neighbor has a horrible deck, horribly built deck. And the other day she's a tenant in this horrible place, and she comes down and she puts a mirror on the deck, and then she leaves. I was like, this has got to be some AI Pinterest stuff happening here. She saw a mirror on a deck. It has to be Pinterest. I blame Pinterest for this.
Oh, okay.
So she puts why would you have a full length mirror sitting on your deck in the summertime? Like what's the hope there? What is the lifestyle that you are trying to broadcast to
I think
people?
you're trying to make it seem like a bigger space. Is that what that is? Maybe, I don't know. That's interesting.
It's a Pinterest tip. I know it. It's gotta be. But all of this AI stuff, okay, this actually reminds me, we had a conversation like this at school where, okay, so we've got AI generated content online, AI bots liking it, AI bots leaving comments on it. So let's apply this to school. AI generated content marked by AI, graded by AI. Like it gets to the point where you just eliminate the middleman. You know, you don't need robots marking robot. In fact, you don't need people marking robots or commenting to robots either.
And honestly, AI is going to get all the jobs anyway, so that's the point in any of it. Kenton.
Going to get a bunch of them. Did you see the godfather of AI was on the Diary of a CEO podcast? Okay, Diary of a CEO. He's from the UK Dragon's Den. I can't think of his name, but his podcast, sometimes it's really good, and other times it's like, like he had Kevin O'Leary on there, and I was like, why? You know, like, oh my God. So anyway, because he's Shark, he got, right. Shark Tank and Dragons and whatever. So he had the godfather of AI, and it was a really good interview. And he goes, what advice do you give people now? You helped invent AI. So what advice do you give people? And he goes, like, learn to be a plumber. Was his advice. And it's like the advice that nobody wants to hear, but yeah, AI can't fix your plumbing. You need a person. And plumbers are very well paid. If you had a plumber to come fix something at your house recently, that's going to be, it's a pricey, you're paying for that expertise, or painting a house, or like the heavy labor, replacing a roof, all of that stuff.
No, so maybe that is the answer.
Manual labor.
Into the trades, right? They've always wanted to push people into the trades. Okay, let's talk about some Star Wars. Okay, so this is from Variety. This is an article, and I'm always trying to find the source of the original article or the original interview, because actually this isn't even it. This is Variety reporting on Rolling Stone. Damn it, I got to get Rolling Stone. But this is what happens, right? One outlet interviews a person, Rian Johnson in this case, who's the director of The Last Jedi, my favorite movie from that trilogy. I love that movie. I think it's the best movie out of those three.
Probably true, though I maybe disagree with some of the plot points in retrospect. However,
it's a lot better than people hated it, Kenton. Remember, people hated it.
Actually, the pacing isn't my favorite either, but yeah. It has some. Yeah, well, I thought of Canto Bight just then, and I was like, well,
okay, fair enough. I'm not saying it's a perfect dog. Anyway,
but yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So he's been interviewed, and he's been working on lately Knives Out. That, of course, is what he went on to after he did The Last Jedi. He wrote, directed Knives Out, complete success, amazing film. He's done a sequel to it, and now he's working on the third Knives Out movie. I don't know if that's going to be just to Netflix or what's happening with that.
Probably.
So that seems to be.
We didn't pay for it last time. Why are we going to pay for it this time?
All right, so there you go. But this is our of course, whenever he gets interviewed, he gets asked about Star Wars, and this is actually about his what they're calling a scrapped Star Wars trilogy. So I imagine this is the Broom Boy trilogy that they hinted at. While they were in Canto Bight, there was a broom boy who used the Force to pull a broom towards him, and he sweeps. And then he looks up at the stars, and that was meant to kind of like something was going to happen with that. That's what we assumed, right, Kenton? I remember we talked about that.
I mean, if you know that he is slated to shoot another trilogy, and he leaves that in the movie and ends with it, with Luke Skywalker inspiring the kid who has Force powers, one would imagine that that's something that he intended to follow up on.
Yeah, so here it says the trilogy was very conceptual, but never had an outline or treatment or anything, and nothing really happened with it. So I don't know. It's interesting that fans get worked up about this. They announce these things, and fans get excited about it, but then they just can fizzle out. It sounds like that's what happened with this. Just nothing moved forward. Nothing really happened with it. Johnson said we had a great time working together, and they said let's keep doing it. And I said great. I would kick around ideas with Kathy Kennedy. The short version is Knives Out happened. I went off and made Knives Out, and it was off to the races, busy making murder mysteries. It's the sort of thing, if down the line there's an opportunity to do it or do something else in Star Wars, I would be thrilled. But right now, I'm just doing my own stuff. I'm pretty happy. So that's really what it was. Like they probably talked about it while he was making The Last Jedi. They didn't know about the backlash, the fan reaction to it. And then of course we know that really affected how they made the third movie. I think they took that fan feedback into account, and that's why we got The Rise of Skywalker the way it is, because he just kind of really negated a lot of stuff in that previous movie and did a lot of other stupid things and really tried to please everybody. And of course, we know that means you don't please anybody.
But also at the same time, J.J. Abrams was making grand pronouncements about, I'm not just ending this trilogy, I'm ending the entire.
Right. Yeah. It was
like, right? Yeah. Like, oh boy, you're not going to believe what I have for you. And then when we watched it, we're like, yeah, I can believe it. I can believe this is what you have for me.
Yeah. Another thing that came out in this interview is that he didn't like the prequels. He says, my friends and I were prequel hate central as a Star Wars fan. Like, he was a Star Wars fan growing up as we were. But when the prequel, I don't think we did feel the same way about the prequels in a lot of ways.
Deflating. It was deflating. I don't think the prequels, I don't know if I ever said, I hate those. I don't think I ever hated them. But I knew that they all had at least some good moments in them. And I also think I liked Attack of the Clones more than most people ever have. And I think because I kind of like that clone stuff at the end in the sand and everything, I forgave a lot of it. But I think it was deflating. And I remember reading the Newsweek article saying, "Oh my God, this Phantom Menace is not good. Like, oh, we waited all this time to see this." So I remember that whole, like, it was easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah, but there was also, like, remember Spaced in Space, it's a British series starring Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
That his character, and he talked about that recently too, and he felt this way. He wrote this, and he felt he hated the Phantom Menace. He went on a big rant about how awful the Phantom Menace is in that show, and I guess he felt he kind of regrets it. He's probably going to be doing Star Wars, or he did do Star Wars, didn't he?
Yeah.
What it was, he
was the portions guy.
Right.
Portions or whatever.
Portions in the first one, in
Force Awakens.
Right. So there you go. And then the other thing that came out of this interview, and I've just basically, I Googled Rian Johnson news, and I got all these different headlines based on this from all these different outlets based on this one interview he did with Stone. And so this one says, this is from Gizmodo. It says, Rian Johnson feels fine about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So I guess basically they talked to him about, JJ changed a bunch of stuff on you. How do you feel about that? And he's like, oh, it's fine. It is what it is. It was just a movie. I made the movie and I moved on. And I think he's got to say that, right? He can't say anything about how he hated it or whatever, because then he might not get hired back by Disney anytime soon.
I think he edited J.J. Abrams' film, and then J.J. Abrams edited his film.
Right. They both did it to each other. Yeah.
And I think it was jarring as a result. And it's so clear that there was no plan from the beginning. That's the biggest
thing. Yes. And I think that this doesn't talk about that, but there was no, overall, like, I get going from like things like those standalone films of Solo and Rogue One being like, okay, that's just one movie, we're going to do that. And I like that they were doing that. And as those movies, as we said, those movies I think are the best movies of that era of Star Wars. But but then they stopped. Remember, they were going to do another Boba Fett one, and they stopped. That ultimately, I think, became The Mandalorian, and then the Book of Boba Fett. They, I think, incorporated those elements that they were going to use. But yeah, there was no plan for that trilogy. There should have been an over here. Here's what happens in movie 1. Here's what happens in movie 2. Here's what happens in movie 3. George Lucas did that, right? He had the whole thing. He had 6 movies planned out, and he didn't know he was ever going to make any of them. He needed the first one, and then went on from there. And then they ignored his statements. He gave them the 3. Here's what I want to do with episodes 8, 9, and 10, and or 7, 8, 9 rather, and they ignored it. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else. So this is they just kind of did this to themselves, I think.
Well, that's part of what they paid for to buy from him, which is kind of
$4
funny.
billion, yes.
And then he said, well, I guess they're not going to do, I remember him saying they're not going to do it. I guess they're going to do one for the fans or something. And I remember thinking like, that's when we're doing one for the fans became, we're making a bad movie. Where it's like, we think fans want a bad film.
Well, I don't think they didn't think of it in terms of being a bad movie. I think they thought we need to do this. Fans will be mad about this. We got to like they analyze it too much. They overthought it, and they nitpicked the little details that they really shouldn't have worried about. And they tried to I tried to give Finn something to do because they didn't really have anything for them to do. So they gave him this like person to match up with. It was weird. It was just a weird movie. All right. Okay.
I still have my the Art of the Force Awakens.
Mhm.
And when I look through that book, I think, holy crap, they had some amazing ideas here. They had some amazing things in that book where as you look through it, you're like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do that? Like what we got was a much lighter version than what you see in that art book.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Like George Lucas took the Ralph McQuarrie stuff and just like incorporated, made the whole film feel lived in. It was incredible. But it's like JJ didn't do that. Like they had this great stuff. There's no doubt. They really worked hard on The Force Awakens. You can see the work in that book. But then when you actually watch the film, it just doesn't, it's like, I remember thinking, I think I gave the film a B when I saw it. And in retrospect, I don't ever need to see it again. It's just too, there's just like maybe the Han Solo stuff. It was good to see that. But, I think if we could edit those 3 films together and make one.
Oh, okay.
Who's the guy who did it from that 70s show? What's that guy's name? Topher Grace. Let's get Topher on it. Because then he did that for the Phantom Edit, right?
Yeah.
He did that, yeah. Was his
the 3 prequel trilogies together? It's a much better movie because it would he cuts out all the crap. And this will be the same. I'm sure you could probably make a good movie out of those 3.
Yeah.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that yet. I bet you somebody has. They haven't talked.
It just seems so labor intensive only to get a copyright notice. Speaking of copyright,
that's right. You don't want to be, and I think that speaking of platforms like that, YouTube and that kind of stuff, like watching out for content, they can make the rules a little more clear about what constitutes copyright infringement and what doesn't, and say, a 20-second clip or this kind of clip. I think the major issue with my videos when I get those copyright infringements is that everything is always images from the movie trailer. And by the way, I never get these notifications on TikTok. TikTok doesn't care about copyright apparently, and YouTube is making an effort to show that they do care, and they're trying to respect copyright somehow, because for so long you didn't. YouTube was just like, you can put anything up on YouTube and nobody cared. So now YouTube has gone the other way. But yeah, they could be more clear on what those rules are, because I'm not sure why mine are breaking. I did a series of Mrs. Brown's Boys. When I had my Mrs. Brown's Boys video go viral, I kind of started to do these reaction videos to it, and all of those got flagged and shut down. It was not even allowed to be like a BBC. The BBC was so, and now I see all kinds of BBC content. I'm like, well, maybe they're not that strict anymore about it. I don't know. It's so weird. What's happening now in media.
That's been a problem since day one, which is being clear about what you can and can't do on your stupid platform. And it's not going to be a 10-page agree to these 5,000 things. It's got to be simple and understandable. And at the same time, YouTube has boasted from the very beginning about how we care. We have a very liberal definition of copyright, and we work with the creators to make sure that fans can blah, blah, blah. But when you get down to it, it just doesn't seem, it seems like it's not applied the same way across the platform.
No, it depends on probably how many subscribers you have and how many views the video you're getting and stuff like that. I'm sure that affects it too.
Things like that help kill fandom.
Right, exactly. I agree. Okay, let's take a look at what's coming up for Star Wars. I have a list here, and it's interesting because 1, 2, 3, only 4 of the things on this list have an actual date. One of them doesn't have a specific date, but everything else says in development. But this is, I guess, everything else is still officially going. So I guess Rian Johnson's scrapped trilogy is not on here. That's done. So the next thing coming out, we have onto Disney Plus, Star Wars Visions Season 3 is going to be the end of October. Did you watch Season 2 of that?
I did. I did not enjoy it. not as much as the
Not
first
as much.
season. I don't know. I think the first season was better, personally.
This is the one where they do all these different styles of animation. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so was it like really interesting styles of animation again, or was it just kind of the same stuff?
You know, it was a while ago that I watched it, but I remember pretty early in kind of going, oh, not as good as season 1.
The next one on the list, that's it for the rest of this year. There's nothing else in 2025.
I keep thinking they're going to spring Ahsoka on us this year. I do. I think they will.
They would just do that, like surprise
Yeah.
people with season 2 of Ahsoka.
I think they might surprise us a month in advance or something. But it's just
Okay.
like, just think about the release schedule. And Mandalorian used to always be December, end of November, December. And, you know, there's Christmas holidays. People want to watch stuff in a row.
See, here it just says that's on the list, but it says in development. It doesn't say when it's coming out. So you could be right about that. Yeah, we've seen them do that before.
I'm going to predict that it will come out this year. No, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Of course, I might be wrong. But I just, like, it's been, you know, we got a little space here to do something with.
Sure, exactly. You're right. And the next thing coming out is in next spring or next May 22nd. It's Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So I assume that's written and directed by Jon Favreau. It is the next state chapter of the Mandalorian saga. So we've had 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. Is that right so far?
Yeah.
4. 3 seasons. And now,
Boba Fett too.
oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's part of it.
Yeah, so that's part of it. So that's coming out. That's going to be a big deal. I think it's going to be the first Star Wars movie in theaters since The Rise of Skywalker, right? So that's almost 7 years between Star Wars movies in the theater.
Long time.
It's gonna be big.
I hope it's big. You just can't count on anything these days. You can't.
Yeah.
For theatrical release, I guess Superman did well unexpectedly.
I'm gonna go see it tomorrow, so I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah, I'm curious to know. I mean, I feel no compulsion to go out and see it. I'll be honest, because I haven't seen any good Superman since Christopher Reeve. So you kind of you lose the interest as this franchise moves forward. But I mean, you know, streaming something else. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope Mandalorian and Grogu does well.
Yeah,
because
I think you have to. I mean, this is the environment they've created is when there's a big movie like this, a big franchise movie that something we haven't seen in a while, there's going to be demand for it, so people are going to want to go see it. I think that's definitely going to be a hit. Next, then that's it. That's all it says for. So I bet you a lot of these ones in development are going to come out. They just haven't announced. Oh, it's got canceled ones in here too. Okay, so the next one on the list is Star Wars Starfighter. That's the one with Ryan Gosling. That's going to come out May 28th, 2027. So this is like 1 year apart. So now are they moving into like a movie every year, do you think? Is that the
Well, so far they don't have a great track record of. I think the only thing that pushed Starfighter was getting a name director and a name actor, and they're like, let's green light this sucker, let's get it in there. Like I think especially with Gosling being like the hot actor that he is, like coming off of Barbie and stuff, and you're like, wow, that makes it look like that what an actor does at the top of the game is Star Wars. And that's great. That is a great message to send out. So that's why I think that happened. But Starfighter is so close to what like when you hear Starfighter, it's like Rogue Squadron. We were gonna have a film called Rogue Squadron at one point. Starfighter to me sounds so much like Rogue Squadron. That's got to kill whatever chance there was of Rogue Squadron ever being a film.
Is it on here? Oh yeah, it says status unknown.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna see that.
Do you think they repurposed it to Starfighter? Did they
I don't think they repurposed it, but I think you can have two films that sound like they're the same thing come out in a row.
And honestly, this makes me think of the last Starfighter, to be honest. It's like that's the other movie that has that word in it. So there we go. Okay, so then the next thing, that's the only thing that has a date. That's the last thing that has a date. Everything else is either in development or unknown. So then we have Ahsoka. So you think Ahsoka is going to be end of this year?
Well, I think that might be pushing it a little. I will say it will be as early as the end of this year, but I also think it could be like the end or, May kind of thing as well. Like, I don't know. I just think we have a big gap between now and the Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian film, and I think they might want to get something. Oh, like, we're all starting to doubt our Disney Plus subscriptions,
I agree.
right? Like they need something. They need to give, and Visions isn't enough.
No, great. It has to be live action. It has
Yeah.
to be like, you've already kind of established they can pump out these really good quality series that
Yeah.
look good, that are Star Wars. Even if like the Acolyte wasn't a good story, it still looked like Star Wars in a lot of ways. So for sure they want to keep stuff going. But I think that's made them a little shy about it. I think they're not just going to greenlight everything. They're going to be a little more critical of what they're looking at. So that's the next one. So the next thing on this list is Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie. That's all it's
Never coming out.
It's in development, and that's all we have. So you don't think he's going to be? Look, he's too busy to be looking at Star Wars right now.
I don't know. I just don't see it happening. And I think, boy, Thor: Love and Thunder was like one of the least well received Marvel films, and that's saying a lot. I think that especially when you have a character as popular as Thor, people hated that film. So I don't know. I'm not sure. At one point, it seemed like he was the right guy for the job. I think we're past that point now.
Yeah. Well, if anything, this whole Rian Johnson thing shows you how quickly these things can go away, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can be talking about it all you want. Say, yeah, of course I want to do a Star Wars movie. I would love to do that. And then he gets excited about something else, moves on, and doesn't come back to it. That's what happened to Rian Johnson, right? He got Knives Out. He went watching Knives Out and didn't come back to Star Wars, and that's fine. All right, so you don't think that's going to happen? James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. What's this? I don't think I've heard of this one.
That was one that goes way back, hundreds of years into the past. Maybe about the origin of the Force or something. I think they were teasing.
Okay.
And well, Mangold did his Indiana Jones film, and then I think so he's in at Lucasfilm, though that film did not do well, so that's not going to help. But I give this a higher chance than maybe some of the other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's a name director, has an idea.
Did you have a new one come out recently? Like he did the Indiana Jones. I thought he had another one come out.
I think he did. I don't remember what it was, but I do. Yeah, it rings a bell. I just can't remember what it was.
He's good though. I think he's got some good movies. I just watched 3:10 to Yuma recently. That's like one of his first movies, one of his first big ones. That was a great movie.
Yeah, it is. I love that film. Yeah, good stuff.
Hold on a second. James Mangold is he did the Bob Dylan movie. That's what he did.
Oh, right. That's right. A film that I refuse to watch.
I don't really want to watch it either.
I'm not.
I know I don't know.
I need to see Chalamet singing Dylan. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine how desperate for entertainment I would need to be at that point.
Okay. How about this one? Dave Filoni's Mandoverse New Republic movie. This is like, I guess, another one jumping off the Mandalorian.
This is what I think. I think what we're doing, we've been working on de-aging Mark Hamill, and it gets better every time. Yeah. And I think what Dave Filoni will ultimately do is a film that wraps up the Mandoverse, but will feature original Star Wars characters in that film, or de-age versions of those characters. It'll probably look so realistic at that point, it'll blow us away. And we could see the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia all working together in that film or trilogy, if that's what it is. I think they said it was a trilogy originally.
This is film here, but I think that but they are jumping off of like this, what they call the present era of Star Wars, which is right after Return of the Jedi, the era that Mandalorian is living in. And it's like they've really done a good job of building out this world, right? We have seen all kinds of different. We had Werner Herzog, we had all kinds of cool stuff. We had Brian Posehn. I was just talking about that the other day. Brian Posehn came back to Winnipeg, by the way.
He was at Rumors this week, wasn't he?
Was it this week? Okay, I didn't realize. I saw he was coming back, and I'm like, he's in Star Wars. Like that's the coolest thing ever.
I know, it's very cool.
So yeah, the Mandalorian, they've done a good job with that. And so I think this is jumping off that. I do think that the plan is going to be like one movie per year. So this one could come out, like if the Mandalorian and Grogu does well, which I assume it will, then they're going to keep this one going. It says in development. I think they're waiting on the success of that to see what they're going to do next. Like another thing on here, it says status unknown is the Mandalorian season 4 and the Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Yep.
That stuff they're gonna do, like they're gonna wait to see if the movie does well to see if they're gonna do more Disney Plus stuff, I think, right?
Yeah, I think that's the case. I wouldn't even surprise me. We had Ahsoka say the words "heir to the Empire" in season 1. I think it was season 1, and it wouldn't surprise me if Filoni made the "Heir to the Empire" trilogy like with Thrawn, so it would be a lot like Timothy Zahn's book, but with the addition of the characters that we have come to know and love as well. We would not surprise me if they did like a variation on that.
Now we have somebody, Charmin Obaid Chinoy's new Jedi Order movie. Do you know anything about that?
That's supposed to be the Rey movie, and it just seems like that one's doomed.
Yeah, it says in development, but yeah, you're right. I keep seeing pieces about that though. I keep seeing stuff that they're talking about it. I don't know. I don't think anybody really has any desire to see Rey again, right? Nobody's really chomping at the bit for more Rey stories.
I think. Just a sec. Sorry, I've got a spammer who's now called me like 15 times in a row, and I'm like, here we go, block. Good. I don't think that Rey film's ever going to get made.
No.
I don't think anyone's interested in it, as you said. I don't see it happening.
Okay. And then it looks like to me, for look at this list, it looks like they've talked to a lot of different people about a lot of Star Wars stuff. They're having meetings, right? They're having lots of meetings, and then nothing's coming out of this, because the next thing is Simon Kinberg's Star Wars trilogy. So Simon Kinberg, he is the guy who did the good X-Men movies. Well, some of them are good. Like the newer ones with the what's his name is the Professor X. I don't remember. Anyway, James McAvoy is Professor X, right?
Yeah.
Those ones.
Yeah. First Class?
Yes, First Class. And there's a couple of good ones, but then Armageddon, like it got bad after a while, those movies. But he's done those, and now he's been talking to them about doing a Star Wars trilogy. But I don't know that they're going to work in trilogies anymore. I don't know that that's going to happen. I think they might just do like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or DC, whatever they're doing now. They're going to just do movies that kind of jump off each other and work together for a larger story. I think that's the goal here. They're not going to look at this in terms of trilogies anymore. So I don't know if he might do one movie and then they'll see how it goes. And then if it does well, they'll release another one, but they're not going to like have a plan for 3, right? That's not going to be.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's the next one. Then the next one is Carlton and Nick Cuse's Star Wars series. Carlton Cuse, who of course did Lost and a couple other really good TV shows. What do you think about that one?
I don't know anything about it.
No, I don't.
News
know.
to me.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I've talked to a lot of people, right? Carlton Cuse.
Yeah.
All right. So, but he's done some good shows. I would say like he could probably come up with some good ideas. Then we have on here the Rogue Squadron movie, which says status unknown, but you think that's gone?
That's Patty Jenkins, and she did such a terrible job of Wonder Woman 2 that Wonder Woman 1, it seemed like, yes, let's do this. It was great. And then Wonder Woman 2 came out and people were like, like maybe just hold your horse.
Well, I don't just blame the director on this. Like there's more than one person involved in these movies, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that was bad about that.
But they were rushing it out, try to capitalize, like what they wanted, and that's what you end up with if you do that. And getting any SNL alumnus to star in your superhero film is a terrible idea. Never do it, because it ruins everything.
You mean Kristen Wiig?
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Yeah, maybe it might have been.
Well, she also turns into like a cheetah lady or something.
Oh,
something weird happens to her in that one.
Have you noticed when somebody who's still on SNL or recently on does a movie, you never know, like they're past the point of being able to act. They're just doing what they did on SNL. And so you're watching, you're like, why are they mugging? Why are they like looking for cue cards? Like, why are they? Is this supposed to be a sarcastic character? Like, there's just, I think I can think of a few movies where the acting just isn't up to snuff, because that's not really their game. That's not really what they've done.
Right. Then the other thing on this list, we have a Star Wars Lando movie. Is that is that still happening? Is that based on like the Solo and what's his name is Lando?
Yeah, yes. But first they said it was going to be a film Then they said it was going to be a TV series. Now I don't have a clue.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
it would be nice to have Billy D. Williams one more time, you know, like at least narrate. And I don't want AI Billy D. Williams narrating to bring it back to the original idea. I want oh no, I just thought of our favorite topic. Johnny Depp as Tonto introducing us to the museum at the beginning of that film.
Oh no.
So we have Billy D. Williams as Lando at the Star Wars Museum going, I could tell you some stories. Sit down.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll see if anything happens with that. But again, I think I'm taking like a lot of these status unknowns are going to be canceled, I think is what's going to happen here. And now we're getting into the list. There's last 5 items on this list that are presumed canceled, and Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is in there. Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic is presumed canceled.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, because that was going to be with what's her name, wasn't it? Going to be with the girl
Gina Carano, yeah.
Right. And then she was canceled in real life, and then they dropped her.
I think they're using some of that stuff moving forward. They're just not calling it that.
Okay. And then we had untitled J.D. Dillard / Matt Owens movie. I don't know who those people are.
Me neither.
Okay. Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. Was he going to do a Star Wars movie?
Yeah, they rolled that out at some point, but I don't know what happened. I think they thought, oh man, we're having trouble coordinating this expanded universe thing, so we'll bring in that guy who did it for Marvel, which seemed like a good idea at the time, and then maybe not.
And then the last one, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss's Star Wars movies, and that's the guys who did Game of Thrones. And I remember that announcement; that was a big deal. They were going to do a trilogy as well, and that is canceled.
Yeah, I think they said. I think they did an interview about that. I don't remember what they said. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's been so many people who've been supposedly involved in making a Star Wars film that just never got made. So you can't actually take any announcement seriously unless it's like, oh yeah, Ryan Gosling's on board. He showed up at Star Wars Celebration. The director of the film has the time set aside. Like all of that stuff needs to be in place.
So what do you think this means for the Star Wars brand? All these false starts. Does it hurt the brand?
Oh yeah, sure, it's hurt it. And I mean, it turned like Andor was like, whoa, everybody was talking about it. It's highest quality Star Wars kind of thing. I think that did a lot to get people to reinvigorate people's interest. I think way to go, Andor, for doing that, because things were starting to be. I think people were just a little too used to the kind of Star Wars we were getting, and that really cracked it open to a wider audience, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
But I do think we did a podcast at the beginning, I remember before Force Awakens, where we said, we're going to get to the point where everybody just expects this.
Mm-hmm.
And we hit that point, and where going to a Star Wars movie was exciting and it was rare, and you had to lap it up because maybe it might be 10 years before you got another one. And I think as long as but if we're streaming, we expect to be given stuff that we're paying every month. So at the same time, there's that. So I don't know. They need to balance that. But I also think that that films now, I don't know. Films are expensive, and there's no guarantee, less of a guarantee now than ever, I think, that your film is likely to do well.
I think I'm seeing a shift back into movies. I think this is happening across. Yes, because Hollywood. We should probably talk about this on Media Nerds. I'm noticing they're starting to release more in the theaters. We have new Naked Gun movie coming out next month, which is a comedy. I just saw a preview for Bad Guys 2, which is an animated movie. That's a kids animated movie. The Bad Guys is like a bunch of animals. I don't know. I didn't really watch the first one. I don't really care, but that's how the kids movie. I guess they're trying to go after the Pixar crowd for that. Those movies usually do well in the theater. But also they have a Freakier Friday movie. Kenton, have you seen the trailer for that one?
I know of its existence, but no, I have not watched.
This is the key. This is to me the key thing, because that to me is something they would absolutely put on Disney Plus a year ago, 2 years ago. It would have been. They got Jamie Lee Curtis, they got Lindsay Lohan back. It's a follow up to the remake of Freaky Friday. It would be hilarious if Jodie Foster was in there somewhere. But I think that they're releasing it in theaters. It's going to be in theaters in August, and they're doing that before it goes to Disney Plus. I think that that's a different thing. I don't think they would have done that a couple of years ago because they were releasing all kinds of stuff on Disney Plus that they should have really put into theaters. And that continues to happen, by the way. Heads of State. I'm sure you're getting it advertised to you on Prime. It stars John Cena as the president of the United States.
I heard it's good.
I've heard it's good too, and I want to watch it, but this should have been in the theaters. It's an action comedy. It's got Idris Elba's John Cena. It looks like there's lots of action in it. You should put that in theaters first, but no, it goes directly to Prime because Prime doesn't care about theaters. Prime is not doing it,
Right.
but I think Disney does. Disney is putting an effort. They're going to release stuff in theaters first, and we're going to see that more. We're going to see probably a Star Wars movie every year now after next year.
Let's see how the other ones do.
Yeah, well, I know. I think they'll do well though, and I think we'll see
I think
more people go to theaters.
we could get in a weird situation where, let's say, Mandalorian and Grogu does middling business. That is not the hit that they're expecting, but then Ryan Gosling's is the hit they're expecting. That'd be weird because then it would go like the lesson would be more big stars. That would change everything.
Right, and then we would have we'd have the Timothée Chalamet Star Wars.
Singing Bob Dylan in a Star Wars film. But the reverse could be true, where Mandalorian Grogu does really well and Ryan Gosling's bombs. Then it's like we're telling the same story. We're gonna plug it all. And for a long time, it looked like the Mandalorian was gonna be that. It was gonna be, and maybe it still is.
Well, it is, but don't forget that Mandalorian also has a super hot big movie star in Pedro Pascal, who wasn't a big movie star when he started. You don't think he's a big movie star?
He's in everything.
He's got 3 movies coming out in the next 6 weeks, and I think he might be a little oversaturated, but he's a huge star and he's a draw.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of what's going to bring people to the Mandalorian.
I think he's the Michael Caine of today. He's just in every bloody thing. He says yes to every. If his schedule's open, he's doing that film. And so I think it's a little chance. Like in some ways, it's genius to put the mask on him.
Right.
But, because maybe we got a little burnout.
Well, I think he's going to
Him
take
and
it
everything.
off in the movie for sure. He's got to have. He's his job to take it off.
Yeah.
So he'll take it off in the movie at some point. Whenever at some point I'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see Star Wars in the theater again. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that we can get back and do regular like Star Wars content in the theaters. I hope that they can make that work.
I don't think you ever saw. Maybe you did. Did you see the trailer from Star Wars Celebration in Japan for the Mandalorian Grogu? They never released it officially. Okay, it was pirated on there, or was it the Comic-Con? I can't remember. It was one of those. It was pirated. It was on there. It was on YouTube for about a day, or maybe less than a day, actually. So I watched it, and I remember like the key takeaways are fun, jokes, cool stuff, and maybe we're visiting some classic Star Wars locales, perhaps. To me, it looked like the ultimate kind of whiz bang, pow, pow, pow. Like, let's get going. Like, the action never stops. That's what it looks like when you see that trailer. But also, it looks funny. And I can't remember the last time we just had like big Star Wars laughs. I think we might be getting some of that in this film.
I don't even know if we've ever had big Star Wars laughs.
Well, we had some like in the first season of Mandalorian with the stormtroopers trying to shoot at the can. Remember that? That was good Star Wars humor.
I understand.
What's that?
A literal comedian in the what's his name was in there too. Horatio Sands was in there.
Right. Oh no, SNL.
Oh. Anyway,
He had the mask on him. We couldn't see him looking at the cue cards because he had the mask on.
we'll see. We'll see if your predictions are correct. We'll continue to watch the news and see what else is going to come out.
You know what we should do when Mandalorian and Grogu comes out? We should both go to the same showing.
Sure.
And we should do an after movie thing because we haven't done that since I think Last Jedi.
I think so too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll do that.
Yeah, we should do that because I think that'll be good. A spoiler-free one and then a spoiler-filled one.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's going to do for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Dadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Now I am the master.
I'm taking an awful risk, mate.